Sandra, how come SBS Bank's rates are so good?
Because they're owned by their customers, not greedy shareholders, so we get a better deal.
Really? Always wanted to own a bank.
In 1956, a handful of Invercargill Cycling Club members organised a bike race in the grand European tradition. Multi-day racing, taking in everything that made bike riding in Southland great. That race has been through many evolutions, but 6 decades later, it continues. In 2016, the SBS Bank Tour of Southland celebrates its diamond anniversary as 20 teams of riders prepare to take on the roads, hills and weather of Southland, battling it out over 7 stages and 850 kilometres for the honour of being the 60th anniversary champions. This is the 2016 SBS Bank Tour of Southland. For the 5th day in a row, the SBS Bank Tour had a new tour leader after the Southland weather finally bared its teeth on Thursday's stage to the top of Bluff Hill. With a revised stage route and the schedule seeing the riders having to back up straight after the Coronet climb, this stage shaped as being crucial to deciding Saturday's winner. A 20-strong breakaway set the early pace before 5 broke clear to grab the race by the scruff of the neck. With Tour legend Hayden Ralston leading the charge, backed by some heavy hitters, the quintet hit the bottom of the climb with a handy advantage. And Michael Vink made what turned in to be the winning move at the midway point of the climb to ride off with the stage and a 2-minute 14-second lead in the overall classification as the Tour heads to Gore for its penultimate day.
Well, yesterday's stage was definitely that just caught us all out. You know, out of the blue, it just took off like a bullet out of a gun, and you know, if you weren't there at the start, that was your day done, really.
I think it caught a few people out, just with stopping at the end of neutral and then just taking off in a bit of a hurry. Just if you weren't right on your game, you probably weren't in with a chance, which is much like I was, I think. So we're playing a bit of catch up to start with, got back to it, and then it wasn't slowing down, so it was the end of me halfway along the hilltop. Yeah.
Back in the first year the tour was established, my granddad, William Tate, he competed in the first tour, and you got a cool memento here, the medallion, which I was told every rider got back then for doing the first tour, so I'm wearing it today to commemorate that first tour. Being the 60th is pretty special, and I'm real happy to be a part of it, and I use it, try to think of it as a little lucky memento as well.
Dad did this back in '56, so in those days it was a 3-day stay or tour. Gravel roads, wasn't the roads today, we get the smooth tar seal, but for the history for me, if it wasn't for Dad and our family being involved in cycling, I wouldn't be here today, so it's fantastic. I mean, I hope it keeps going for another 60 years. To come down and just watch it, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's pretty much been what we've expected. I think a few of the guys are rookies to it, so it's definitely been challenging for them. I've done it a couple of times prior, and so I sort of knew what I was roughly in for. A good end of our week would be to keep John, who's our old boy rider, in the top 10 in the over 35s, and he's running 6 at the moment. So if we can keep him there, or if not, push him a little bit higher, it'll be good. And everyone's sitting the top half of the peloton, so if we can sort of stay, keep everyone in that sort of safe zone, we'll be pretty happy. Yeah, I think it's a really good accomplishment for a lot of them being their first year down here.
Great to see so many new teams involved in this year's tour, the likes of the Venel Coaching BP, Cycling HB, the Cadence Cyclery, of course, all the way over from the United States. 20 teams, it's a fantastic field for 850k this week, Doug.
Here we can see Michael Vink from the Mike Greer home squad. Today is his day. He has to take control of this stage. It's going to be really, really interesting to see how much gas the Mike Greer team have got left after yesterday.
You can see on the graphic here, the riders will make their way out through central Southland, eventually making their way across some very lumpy terrain into a traditional finish into Gore as they calmly make their way through in this neutralised section. These riders know it's a big day once again in front of them. There'll be a lot of fatigue in the legs.
Yeah, there is a lot of fatigue. It compounds as the tour goes on. You see here Travis Kane, he's eager to get out in front. This is the 17th edition that this boy has ridden. You've got to hand it to Travis. He's a local guy. He's enjoying the stage racing and he is really out here giving it a crack.
As per usual, a lot of sprints up for grabs in the early part of any of these stages here, and Travis just trying to give a bit of a nudge off, get his colours out in front there for the Business South team. As we look to the rear of the peloton, you can see they're fairly relaxed, and over on the far left there you can see the likes of the Vantage Windows and Doors team. Of course, losing a fair bit of time yesterday. They'll be looking to the drawing board to what needs to happen here as Zeno from Southland goes off the front.
Yeah, this is typical Matthew Zenovich from the Pownet team. Man, this kid can really rock a bike race, and I think Matthew was probably disappointed with yesterday not probably getting away in that group. So today's his day of redemption, and he's signalling his intentions right from the get-go, isn't he?
It's certainly a tour this year that offers a lot of opportunities. It hasn't been determined by one particular stage. Every day these riders need to be on their game. There'll be a lot of discussion last night back in the motel rooms as to what needs to happen here. They would have been looking at the forecast, the type of terrain that's available to them if they want to get themselves in that top 10 in the general classification.
Yeah, it's certainly been an unpredictable SBS Bank Tour this year, and I think that's the beauty of bike racing. When we start looking at predictability and at the structure of the race, I think the tour organisers changing the tour route this year. Here's Michael Vink having to do some defending, and that looks like one of the Kia Motors squad riders up the front there. That's Taylor Gummer. We haven't seen him pretty much since the Coronet Peak stage, but the unpredictability of this race is, I think, in effect due to the course changes.
Absolutely, Doug. I think it's been a good change around for the 60th edition, as we saw Liam Aitchison just disappearing out of shot there as Jason Allen, the former New Zealand representative, on the front for his team leader in the yellows. You can see a few guys now starting to put some efforts in here. Hamish Bond is one of those. We just mentioned the Vantage team. They've decided on the outskirts of Invercargill they're going to try and stir things up early here.
You've got to give credit to Hamish Bond. He's really a newcomer to stage racing. I spoke to him before the start of the stage today. He was disappointed with the outcome yesterday, but at the same time pretty happy with the way he's gone and the Vantage squad has performed in this year's edition.
Yes, their team has certainly been rewarded with a number of outstanding efforts throughout the week as we look to a break starting to establish itself here. They're splitting up as one of the early sprints, and it's the man in the green jersey from Invercargill, Kyrgyzstan, about to take it out.
Nick Kyrgyzstan has really positioned himself well, and it's interesting for me, Julian, to see the transition from the track to the road for a lot of these guys. A lot of the fellas we're talking about in this year's race have been track riders, and they are starting to make that changeover into being more road-based, and Nick Kyrgyzstan is certainly in that mode.
It's a true balancing act when it comes to the coaching side of things for these riders, as they need to have that rest period, but a lot of them have had to peak for some major events throughout the year. And you're right, a lot of them have come off a big heavy campaign on the track. That leg speed, of course, will help with certain types of stages here as we see the breaks. And here it is, the man in the pink jersey there, Gordon McCauley, former two-time champion. He's decided he's going to get himself into the wind.
Anytime Gordon McCauley gets to the front of a bike race, it must ring alarm bells for the rest of the riders in the peloton, because he is not the kind of guy who commits to a breakaway without it sticking, and he's got the experience and the knowledge. But you can see here there's some furious chasing going on. It's a typical stage start in the Tour of Southland, and there's some serious selection going on. This is a big group up the front.
In particular, looking towards the front of it there, I spotted the signs of a track rider. We've just been talking about them, Aaron Gates, the Olympian. Now, this guy here is already sitting in 4th place overall after yesterday's big effort off the front. He was away with Ralston and co, and here he is starting to sneak off with this group here. This will be very interesting to see the reaction from the peloton. You wouldn't want to let the calibre of a rider such as Gate, and there goes one of the Dutchmen there also from PowerNet. These are some of the top contenders in the top 10 here, starting to sneak off this front.
It's an interesting selection at the start of the stage. It's not all cut and dried yet. You can see the peloton is stringing out and drawing back like a great big elastic band. But I tell you what, you'd have to be an octopus with about 9 tentacles to try and make a break stick at the moment. There's just so many riders in the front of this group who are pushing the pace and are trying to get away.
A great shot here showing us that there's a gap starting to open up here of some 15 to 20 seconds. This is a serious move by the likes of Gate.
1981 marked the 25th anniversary of the Tour of Southland. For the Silver Jubilee event, the Tour added extra stages, taking it into the most iconic Southland regions of Milford and Queenstown. The climb up Coronet Peak was added for the first time in 81, before being cancelled in 82 due to snow, and then dropped completely until 2013 when it was reintroduced with great success. The 1980s were the era of Brian Fowler. To this day, no one has won more consecutive tours nor amassed more victories overall than the Cantabrian. As well as being an outstanding bike rider, Fowler was also adept at arranging unofficial alliances. Having a few mates alongside you taking the worst of the weather made the tour much less painful. Eventually, this common practice would lead to the end of the amateur individual tour format and the start of the modern team races we know today.
So we're coming into the loop round Winton. We do a dog leg back through Gap Road, right-hander straight out the back. This is the front group, and it is a big group. I'm quite surprised that a big group such as this has got away in a stage like this with a rider like Aaron Gate. This is a real surprise. It must be ringing alarm bells back in the chasing group. You just wouldn't let this sort of thing happen.
Absolutely. I mean, opening up to some 48 odd seconds here at the moment as these guys continue to build into it. As we look to Fraser Hewitt of Southland, he rides, and that of course for Hayden Ralston. He looks like Ollie Jones, the man that was originally in the King of the Mountains. This is a big group, Doug. The young Australians in the mix once again. They have had a tough tour. They've had a very good tour with stage wins already.
And they will be buoyed by the time gaps coming through that they're getting away. Often big groups like this are doomed to being caught, but here we are back at the peloton, and to be serious, there isn't a lot of action happening, and Michael Vink is taking this very, very casually, I believe. I think he thinks this group will come back.
Yes, the Mike Greer homes on the front there. You can see it looking fairly relaxed. You would expect to see them at the front of the race. You would also expect, though, to see a number of the other big hitting teams as well, because at the end of the day, there is also the man from PowerNet that is up in front there, who's in the top 5 after yesterday's stage to Bluff. So, not a lot of reaction. It's very confusing, to say the least.
The veteran Gordon McCauley, he is in this group. He's starting to get that casual sort of look of things are getting a bit harder. The gap is now at 5:40, so this must signal some intentions back in the peloton, but Gordon McCauley's driving through. 23rd tour. Gordon is just the kind of guy you want in a breakaway.
Jack Sowry there bringing them through, and here comes the former World Omnium champion, the man from the Rio Olympics. He is absolutely driving it. He will be absolutely just as much in shock, I feel, Doug, and that's to think that they've allowed him to get out to such a gap here, and that is something just wouldn't have been written in the script.
Yeah, this is the beauty of stage racing, and Gordon is coming through again, driving this break. He will be thinking there's an opportunity here for him to take a stage win, and once again, back at the peloton, the Mike Greer homes are making a chase, but at 5:40, you'd be thinking that some of the other teams, like you've talked about, would be coming through, helping them out.
It's just bizarre. Look at the reaction of the field here, and that's there's a bit of grimace on the face, but really at the end of the day, are they feeling that confident that they could shut down such a significant gap? Here's Michael Torkler. Further back in it, you can see very damp, cold looking conditions. That could play havoc with the riders. It can shut down the whole atmosphere of a race, and riders start to switch off and are more than happy to get home as we look at Ralston in there alongside the Vinks, the Torklers, the big hitters from yesterday. All that energy yesterday, Doug, and today they're allowing this bunch to get away with Aaron Gate.
Don't underestimate the conditions. It's very, very cold out there. These guys aren't the sort of athletes that deal with being cold very well. You can see them coming down the back of the Hedgehope Hill. It's quite a quick descent through here all the way to Matara, but the cold, the fatigue, it may be compounding on these guys.
If this break is to be successful, it is going to see a major change to the general classification. A lot of teams, a lot of individuals have got a lot to lose here. We've mentioned some of those key players. They are fast losing time and losing a place on the top of the podium.
It's very, very interesting, Gillian, and it does give you an insight into the chops and changes of stage racing. See here, back coming up the Titapur Hill with the leaders, Gordon McCauley at the back. This group has stuck together pretty well, and they've all been rolling through pretty well, which is another change. So the whole dynamic of this race is unfolding and changing in front of our very eyes.
And of course, a number of the guys in this particular breakaway group are there for other reasons. They are well down on the overall general classification. Regardless if they manage to hold off the challenge of the main field, they're really looking for a stage victory. To take away that and put that in their CVs, lock it away. Whereas we've already said the likes of the Aaron Gates, the young Australian Tuvi, he's in the mix there as well. Remember, this guy's been in the pink jersey, he's won a stage, he wants to keep himself well up in contention as well. And of course, Koufenhoven of the PowerNet team. This is a guy who was unpredictable yesterday and has got himself in the top 5 coming into today.
Aaron Gate is riding a very, very heady race. He is not letting anyone get away. He's following wheels through. He's rolling through and doing his work as required. He realises there's still a bit of room to move and a bit of distance in the stage. But Aaron Gate is riding a very, very heady race here. It's very, very smart riding from this guy. And I think that there's probably a strategy here that is unfolding in front of us that is fluid, and Aaron Gate is taking advantage of a situation that he probably didn't think would ever present itself for him.
Absolutely, he's grabbed it with both hands as we see a break making its way out of Matera up the climb here, and it is Aaron Gate following on to Steve Lampier of England there for the Kia Motors Ascot Park team. Has decided it's time to make their bid for glory. It's about 20 kilometres or so to the stage finish, and there it is, Tuvi there in the lime green colours from Australia. They're about to be joined by the likes of Phipps from Team Skoda to join Johnston as well in the mix there with them. So, and Koufenhoven of PowerNet. They, looks like the top 6 now, are opening a gap on their own breakaway group.
Yeah, it's very interesting here. The Mike Greer team is represented in this breakaway by the young rider Ben Johnson in the under-23 section. He'll be collecting tickets for these guys, but this is definitely going to be the move of the race. There is going to be definitely a change overall in the leaders jersey, I think, and you can see here coming back to the chasing group, it's 6s and 7s, there's a few attacks going on. They are not going to shut this front group down carrying on like this.
No, fatigue has certainly kicked in as another time check is given to the leading group. They can't believe what they're hearing. They continue to open the gap there. They've got about 30 seconds now opening up on that chasing group. Aaron Gate continues powering into it. He's the one of the challengers in that here to secure that yellow jersey at 5:54. He knows he must be frothing at the mouth with excitement here, potentially to take a yellow jersey.
And here we are coming into Gore. There is a climb up the Broughton Street, depending which way you go. We'll call it the B Hill today, Julian, but this is going to provide a kicking board, perhaps for a king hit from some of these riders to try and win this stage.
Yes, here we are with the closing kilometres of this stage here, and they're not going to go out and do a loop around Gore area as they have in previous times. It is up this hill, down the other side, and into the main street. So you're right, Doug, this is an opportunity to springboard for the front.
And here's Lampier from the Kia Motors Ascot Park squad. He's given it a dig up Broughton Street. He has got the Mike Greer rider Ben Johnson on his wheel, who's been a passenger in this breakaway. Let's see what he's got. They're foxing.
Here's Phipps there from the Team Skoda team. He starts to make a bit of a surge. These are points for the Jesco Hydraulics King of the Mountains, which continues to be closed down on the overall leaders. They've picked up a number of points, these boys, on the day, particularly the likes of Lampier nearly at the top. And looks like the Team Skoda boy is going to be able to pick himself up maximum points here into Gore.
It is a steep hill and it flattens off the top but carries on in a false flat kind of way. And you can see here at the back, Stephen Lampier setting himself up for a counter-attack from his first move going over the top. So Lampier from the Kia Motor squad is making a bid for glory for the stage. It's going to be interesting to see the reaction from the chasers.
This guy is feeling very frisky in the last 20 kilometres. He's obviously not relying on his sprinting ability. He's trying to break these guys up. This is the second attempt we've seen him have. As he drifts on back though, there is a bit of a move now going off the front. He's ignited a few, and it looks like the young man from Lumsden stage, the day one's winner, Tuvi's gone off the front, and no surprises, there's the Olympian Gate who's going across the gap.
Aidan Turvey from the Tonelli Performance Bikewear squad. He knows how to win a stage. He won the first stage coming into Lumsden. He is a very, very dangerous boy, and he hasn't done a lot of work in this breakaway. It's a very fast descent through into the finish and a very, very open and flat, wide road. So it's going to be interesting to see whether these guys get pegged back up.
It's a great example of teamwork. He's had Magentas from his team doing all the work all day long, and Tuvey has waited patiently here as they make their way around the Croydon Lodge. Onto the state highway they go, and it is Gate who still has a few metres to try and shut down.
Man, they're taking some risks going around these corners. It's a seriously wet road. Those painted lines are like ice, and the boy Tuvey went round that last corner like his life depended on it, but who was chasing him right in behind? Aaron Gate. This is going to be a sensational stage for Aaron Gate here. He has moved himself into contention for the yellow jersey, is going to take it over, and he'll be pinching himself.
Absolutely, there are time bonuses still up for grabs for them as well. As we look to the remnants of the chasers here, they've left these boys behind. You can see the peddling style of them versus the two out in front, quite different indeed. As you can see, Gate looking over his shoulders, he's looking to the young man from Australia.
Yeah, he is going to have a look over his shoulder, and it'll be a bit of a duel all the way through, but you can see it's Tuvey who's taken the initiative. It's a long way from here to the stage finish. Knowing from experience myself, you go too early here and you get rolled, and I think the boy Tuvey from the Tonelli Performance Bikewear team has gone and led this out too early. Aaron Gate is getting the best lead out he can imagine.
Patience is a virtue as Gate waits with 400 odd metres to go. It is Tuvey on the front. This man is being talked up as being the next big thing in Australia here, as he gives a wee flick of the arm asking Gate to come through. So they're going to continue to lap it out here for a few more metres as they try and line themselves up for the big sprint.
That is a really interesting move from Aaron Gate. He's having a bit of a look. He can see right over on the left hand side of the road. Aaron Gate opens up. He's litting it up now. Can he stay away for the stage finish?
Tuvey comes round to his shoulder onto Gate. This is going to be a tight one for the judges as Tuvey tries to surge to the line, but Gate is going to throw it. Oh, she's going to be a tyre within it there. Gate, I think, on the inside is going to get the nod from the judges as we look to Johnston to secure himself third place. Phipps will come across in fourth, but Aaron Gate, the man been to the Olympic Games, he's been a real champion. Has he done enough today? It looks like with the time gaps that he will be putting on a yellow jersey here in this SBS Bank Tour of Southland.
Here we are back in the peloton. The peloton have had a decimation. This is the remainder of the whole field in this year's SBS Bank Tour of Southland. So there's some serious fatigue going on. You can see the Vantage boys, Hamish Bond, some of the Business South boys at the front. The damage control has been absolutely blown to pieces in this stage.
And it looked like Ralston was the man that had gone off the front trying to pick up a few more seconds. The pink jersey is in there, and there is Vink. His race is being undone today. They're going to have to go back to those drawing boards tonight. There are some big gaps and some huge changes no doubt about to happen on the overall general classification here into Gord today, the Matara Licensing Trust stage.
Yeah, Michael Vink will be seriously scratching his head. How did this happen? There's Hayden Ralston leading the chasing peloton through, well over 5 minutes down. There'll be some soul searching goes on tonight.
On the fifth consecutive day, we have a new yellow jersey holder with Aaron Gate at 2 minutes and 29 over Koevenhoven of the Netherlands, and Michael Vink slips to third at 3:19. Meanwhile, Nick Kirkazoo has a tight battle going on for the sprint ace by 3 points over Aaron Gate and Magentas of Australia on 30. The Jesco Hydraulics King of the Mountains remains on the shoulders of Tim Rush after a bit of a challenge today from Ollie Jones and Gates. While in the pink jersey, the Henderson Construction under-23 Aidan Tuvey secures a second place in the stage and gets himself back the pink jersey for the tour. Fraser Hewitt of Invercargill gets himself the Stonewood Homes silver jersey, opening a gap on Anthony Chapman by 1:38. While past champion Gordon McCauley was awarded the Southland Times Most Combative Rider of the Day. Kia Motors Ascot Park Hotel hold on to a good lead of 2:49 over PowerNet and 13 minutes back to Barry Stewart Builders.
We knew that it was going to be another hard stage, and we didn't really know how we were going to take yellow, but we thought we'd give it a go, and the boys were awesome at the start, and the rest of the team to just keep throwing little digs in all throughout the first start of the stage, and then I had one nudge myself and looked around, we had a gap, so I thought, well, let's keep going, and sure enough we stayed away right to the finish.
Yeah, there was just too many guys in the end. I mean, we did what we could. We tried to control the race, but yeah, we just didn't have the manpower in the bunch in the end. Would have been nice to have some help from the other teams so they had something to lose as well. But yeah, it just wasn't to be today.
The last couple of days I've tried to make the move, but obviously the style of racing's just been so aggressive. It's I've been in a couple of moves, but they just haven't stuck. So tomorrow I'm just going to have to bring it all and try get involved in every sprint and try hold on to this jersey.
Really, I didn't work that hard. It was, Gatey and the guys that were up there for the overall. The impetus was on them to drive the stage hard. Gatey's taken yellow, and he deserves yellow. That guy, he just drove it full gas all day, 150 k's. And you got to tip your hat to him.
I thought it was all over after Coronet Peak, if I'm honest, because I battled my way up there, but then yesterday put me back in contention, and today I managed to get the yellow jersey, so now I just have to try and hold on to it till the end of tomorrow.
Things can change really quickly, and can certainly the race can be on its head within a day. So yeah, we won't give up. We'll go back to the drawing board and see what we're with and devise a plan.
Follow the action from this historic race all week with live race updates, full results and pictures at www.tourofsouthland.com.